Hey everyone, this is Alex, and in this video I'm going to describe how to get started with your first Atria Mind. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go to Hugging Face and download a base model like GPT-2, which I have open here, and theoretically Atria can work with any text generation transformer based off of PyTorch. So feel free to download an experiment. I will be all ears for any kind of models that don't work, but I'm just going to be using GPT-2 for this example. Now you can see here, you can just use Git in order to clone the model, or you can download it uh, manually. It'll take up a good bit of data, so it might take a little bit to download, but after it's done, just feel free to save it into any uh, directory. I have mine here under models, so we're going to just hop right into Atria. And Atria starts up in edit mode, so we'll be able to just kind of like hop right in. So I'm going to hit add model, and then this is your edit model window. So I'm going to start with renaming our model to GPT-2X for experimental. And I'm going to hit browse. I'm going to go over to my models, and I'm going to hit GPT-2. Now you'll see it'll load up all the tokens for GPT-2, and right now there's not really any special tokens. Now this is what Atria uses in order to understand conversational turns. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually add a couple tokens. So I'm going to say user, and I believe that these can be added just in any way. And you can choose any name you want as long as it's continuous. So I'm just gonna have user and output as my tokens. You'll notice that this can't be undone because we are fundamentally changing the model. So when we add these tokens to GPT-2, our GPT-2 model will now always have these user and output tokens. So what we're going to do is we're going to say the user is our input token and the output is the output token. Now, the only one that really matters for parsing output is this output token. And then the only one, or I suppose both, but the reason why we need a separate input token is for training purposes. So when we train our GPT-2 instance, it'll know the difference between what it generates and what we query. So for example, I'm going to say in this starting context area, I'm going to say you are an AI designed to help your users. You act as a funny conversational relief, let's say. And forgive my spelling, I'm an engineer, so. And then it's going to, as a few shot type prompt, we're going to give it an example conversation. So for this, I'm going to say example conversation, and then I'm going to say use our input token. There'll be user and then semicolon. Hey GPT, how are you doing? And then for the output, I'm just going to put something that I find mildly funny, like, hey, woke up with a serious kink in my back. So funny. And then just to reinforce the few shot training for this prompt, you can go back and forth a few times, and that'll just help GPT kind of pick up the general tone of what it's meant to generate. So I'm going to say, oh, that sounds pretty serious. And then the output will be something like, well, it's not all that bad. I am a computer after all. And then I'll say something like current conversation. All right, so this is our starting context. This is what we're going to have be in every single prompt or query that we give it. And as we have a conversation, it'll just add to this context. So after we're content with the name, the model, the context, and our input and output tokens, we'll just hit confirm. And you'll see here that our model appears. We've got GPT-2X. This will point to where the model is stored. And then you'll see that we have an overall metric here. And all models will just start with an overall metric just because it's helpful to have one. But if we wanted to add one, for example, this GPT-2 is supposed to be a bit of a comedian, so we'll say comedy, and then we'll say relevance for the sake of keeping the topic of the conversation relevant. So we'll just have this GPT-2 instance be a nice comedically friendly model. So what I just did there is I toggled edit mode and unedit mode, I guess, edit mode toggle. And so now we have our already custom GPT-2 instance because we added those tokens. Now, what we're going to do is we're just going to say, hey, GPT, and you can see here that our GPT-2 instance actually produced an output. This is great. It means that Atria's parsing worked just fine, and this is our actual output given from our GPT-2 instance using the custom tokens that we had. So you can see here that this is kind of a complete quote-unquote Atria mind. So now that we know that it works, I'm going to go ahead and save this model. Let's say under models, I'm going to say GPT-2X. And now, whenever we feel like it, let's just say new model, new chat, just to clean things up. I'll cancel because I don't want to save that chat. So I'll say open, and then we'll go to where we just saved our GPT-2X.tria, and we'll be able to load it up whenever we want. Now, another thing to note is that you can actually just open up these files directly. So as you can see here, I'm just going to boot up another instance of Atria, and you can see here that the GPT-2 instance was already loaded. Now, you're off to the races. If you want to customize this GPT-2 instance, just kind of give it some data and let it crunch on it. So we'll start with, hey GPT, and we should get something similar. Oh yeah, what is this about? And I'll say, you know what? Maybe he's a little apprehensive, our GPT-2 instance, but it sounds like it might be a little bit of a jovial response. And then I'm going to say the relevance wasn't very high because, GPT-2 didn't really respond to our prompt, so I'm going to say relevance is kind of low. Overall is medium, and then comedy is kind of medium to high. And then I'll say this is our first conversation. And you can see here that GPT-2 is responding with kind of a long response. And it is cut off because Atria right now tries to hone your models with specific word count and token count and everything. So this will be expanded and customizable in the future. But for now, this GPT-2 response kind of seems a little bit serious. So I'm just going to give it, say, like an overall good score for overall and relevance, but the comedy is just kind of low. It's not a great tone. And so now we have a full quote unquote conversation where we log, hey GPT, what's this about? This is our first conversation. Oh, I'm sorry, but I have no idea how long this chat will last. Okay, great. That's not very funny, but we've noted that here in our comedy grading slider over here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save the chat, and I'm just going to put this under models. Actually, I'm going to save it right next to our GPT-2 model, and I'm going to say save and train. And I'm going to navigate over to our transcript, open that up, and I'm going to say I want to save my model here under models. And so our GPT-2X model is now going to get trained on the 3 parameters that we just gave it. So overall, comedy, and relevance. And I'm going to say, yeah, why don't we update it? So this just hot swapped our model in, our newly trained, fine-tuned model. And now we have a completely custom, unique GPT-2X model. This data hasn't existed anywhere else in the world. This is now your model. No cloud lock-in, no anything. And so I'm just going to save this because why not? It's a cool model. I'm going to save it. I don't think there's any harm in the training that we did, but we can say, hey, GPT, and see if it comes up with anything new. Nope, doesn't look like it, but you know what? With enough training, we'll get there. So thank you. This is how you get started with your GPT or Atria minds, and I look forward to seeing what everyone makes in the future. Thank you so much.